YouTube! Don't be scared of the knife, I'm just going to be using it to cut things. Like carrots. Today I'm going to try something new. I'm going to try something brand new. This is going to take the place of Let's Talk Movies. Now I know what you're all thinking. What? You just put up the second one? What do you mean take the place? You haven't even done it that much. I don't like it. I don't like doing it. I don't want to do it anymore. So I'm going to try this. Yes, I'm cooking, or at least preparing food. Today I'm not going to do any actual stove stuff. I'm just going to be preparing stuff. And it's going to be specifically for my dog. This is going to be called something like, well, you see the title down below, but right now I don't specifically know what I'm going to call it. It's going to be something like dog diet, or something like that. Actually, I really like dog diet. But we'll see. I feed my dog human food. He has itchy ears. I believe processed dog, actual food for dogs is slowly killing all of our pets. And we need to feed them human food. Because in the wild, they wouldn't eat that food. They would eat meat and veggies and such. So, we need to get them back to their food. Now, my dog has itchy ears, so I'm going to be making a diet specifically for him. But just to let everyone know, I am not an expert, and I don't know much about cats, that's why I'm doing dogs. So, without further ado, this is what my dog's going to be eating today for supper. One meal I can feed him. If you have any questions down below, please let me know. But watch all the way through, because I might answer some of them at the end. Okay, so, I'm going to grab a bowl here. A small bowl. And we're going to start with some carrot. I do not need to peel this because my dog does not care. Now I'm starting with one carrot. And I'm not even going to use the whole thing. However, I am going to cut the whole thing because I might want to have some as well. This part here that looks like it's not too well off, that I wouldn't want to eat, that's perfect for him. And you don't need to do any special cutting or anything. Just small enough so that it's chewable and eatable for the dog. So about that big, about that size works, or as big as this. Smaller ones like this work too. Okay, and then I'm just going to take it and put it in a bowl. Put it in the bowl. So I'd like for you all to give this a thumbs up if you like this video and you want more like this. I'm thinking of doing meals for the dog, like I am right now. But I'm also thinking of showing you what you could give your dog for a dessert, or what you could give your dog for a treat. I'm also cutting these ones just because they're a little bit bigger. I'm cutting these ones just to show you, like this. So it's kind of like a triangle, sort of, corner piece, just because they're a little bit bigger. You don't have to if your dog isn't small like mine, or you think your dog can handle bigger pieces. That's up to you, what size you make them. I just want it to be super easy for my dog to eat. So I'm not going to cut the whole thing. I said I was going to, but I'm actually not going to. So this is how much I have for carrot. That's actually a little much, but he didn't have a big lunch, so I'm giving him a big supper. And the supper I'm going to give him will be substitution for any snacks he'd get later. Some days I give him a small supper but big lunch because I give him snacks overnight. But today I'm going to try and give him a bigger supper since he didn't have such a huge lunch. And I'm going to try and give him very little snacks tonight. Okay? Next I'm going to put in some pepper. Now, carrots are very, very good for dogs. But you got to be careful. I only give my dog carrots 3 times a week. In a meal, and the rest of the time I give him probably like this much for a snack because he has itchy ears. So if you're going to feed your dog carrot, give him, and you're going to feed your dog more than 3 times a week, I'd say give him about that much per meal, or per snack, if you're going to give him carrots more than 3 times a week. Okay, and now peppers are also really good for dogs. Now, I've done research. I'm not an expert, so you might be like, well, how do you know? I've done lots of research about what's healthy, not healthy, what dogs can eat and what dogs can't eat. Like, don't give your dogs chocolate. Don't give your dogs grapes. grapes are bad for them. And if you have a schnauzer, bacon is really bad for schnauzers. But in general, just don't feed your dog bacon. It's bad for your dogs in general, but it can be toxic to a schnauzer. Same with grapes and chocolate. Those are toxic for most dogs. And don't give your dog the pit of anything. So like, don't give your dog like the middle pit of like stone fruit and stuff like that, like peaches. That's toxic not only for them but also for us. And the seeds in apples, if they have 20 or more seeds from an apple, that's really bad for them as well. Also, this is a lot for one meal, so I might split this up into 2 meals and feed him the other half tomorrow, because that's a little much. Next, I'm gonna add in some beans. I'm using white kidney beans today, but you could use brown beans. You could use, I'm just grabbing a spoon here. You could use brown beans. You could use lentils, almost anything. I find lentils, though, are kind of hard on his ears, so you gotta be careful. But I take a tablespoon of the liquid, can you see there, all that liquid? I take a tablespoon of it, and then I take a tablespoon of the beans as well. And I get rid of all the liquid before I take it out as much as I can. And if I'm having trouble getting it out without liquid, then I use a slotted spoon like this. Oops, spilled a little. Use a slotted spoon like this. And for anyone wondering, he's behind the camera staring at me, wishing he could eat this food right now. He actually really likes this food. Now, if you've got a picky dog, which we do have a semi-picky dog, and they won't eat beans, and they won't eat carrots, and they won't eat stuff by themselves, then what you're going to want to do is figure out how many calories they need, and then cut back on the beans and the vegetables and add oil. Now, I'm adding oil today, but I'm going to actually make enough for 2 meals. So I'm making enough vegetables for 2 meals, beans for 1 meal. That's what I'm doing right now. So when I separate this in half, the beans will stay here, and I'll probably separate it. You'll see how much I'm going to give him when I'm done. Now I take the oil and I put it in a spoon, and because I added the juice or the liquid from the beans, I don't need much. About a teaspoon or 2 would be all you need. Just put that in there. Then I like to just give it a nice gentle toss just to coat everything. Okay. Now my dog's not picky at all, so I don't need to toss that very much. Now, I'm gonna add herbs, spices here. Now, you gotta be careful what spices you use because some are bad for dogs. I have heard bad things about some really spicy things. So don't add hot peppers like jalapeno. Don't add red pepper flakes, nothing like that. Curry. My dog has a bad relationship with curry. Curry's a little strong. I say stay away from curry as well, unless your dog can handle it. But just to be safe, I'd stay away from curry. Those are the ones I know are bad for dogs. These, however, are thyme, and garlic. And this garlic has a little bit of pepper in it. I am going to add some more pepper, though, at the end. Pepper is really good for dogs and for humans. So you want to give them this. I find this helps with his bowels, but I'm not sure about that. I'd have to double check myself, but I'm pretty sure that's what that's good for. It's just flavorful, so it's nice for flavor. These are really good for his ears. This is really good for bowels, heart, liver, and ears, and skin. So it's really good for all of that. This one specifically is best for ear problems, skin problems. I've also read that it's good for bowels as well. So, poop, if you want to help their poop. Okay. So, I don't really measure how much I put in, but I'm going to measure it right now because I'm pretty sure that I know exactly how much I put in. I have 1/4 a cup here. 1/4 a spoon, sorry. It's not a cup, it's a spoon. 1/4 spoon here, 1/4 a teaspoon of thyme. Now I am adding a little more than I normally would. Again, I'm making for 2 meals. So if you want to make one meal, just half everything I'm doing except for the beans. And actually, I think I will add more beans. So another tablespoon of the liquid and another tablespoon of the beans. So if you want to make one meal for your dog, now after I add each herb, I like to give it a really good mix just to make sure everything's good and in there. You want to distribute that thyme really nicely and well so everything's coated so that you don't accidentally give them more one meal and less the next meal, because you want them to have a good balanced amount of herbs. Just as I'm measuring this out here, just half everything I'm doing for one meal. So it would be 1/8 of the herbs. It would be half a teaspoon of oil, 1 tablespoon of the liquid, and beans. Probably one little section here of this, and probably only about that much carrot for one meal. I am preparing ahead of time for tomorrow, so there's that. Okay, so now that I've got all of that in there, I'm just going to add my last herb, the pepper. It's actually peppercorn, but normal pepper would work too. I just think the peppercorn has a much nicer flavor. Plus, I really like using this grinder. And just so anyone out there who doesn't have much money knows, you can get one of these grinders from the dollar store, $2. It works great. Hasn't broken on me yet, hasn't clogged up yet. It got a little dirty around the edge in here, but that's okay. Sorry for the noise, I got a window open near me. Okay. So, now I'm going to add the meat. This is the extra protein, the real meat. Now, I don't always give him real meat. I will be honest. Sometimes I feed him this. Pink salmon, wild Pacific. Now, I also feed him sometimes chicken or tuna in a can. But when you're picking out cans, you gotta make sure there's not too much salt in them. And I can get into snacks as well, like treats you would buy a dog. I can get into that as well in a different video, so if you want that, comment below. If you want me to tell you like what ingredients are good in treats when you buy them at the store, what aren't, comment below. But I will tell you that this stuff salmon is really good for a dog, but you have to be careful. You don't want to get something that's super high in salt. Now, this one is 10% salt. That's a little high, but it was on sale, so I figured, yeah, whatever. 10% is probably the highest you'd want to go, in my opinion. So if you're going to get something and it has higher than 10% salt, don't get it. That's my opinion. Now, I'm not an expert. This is just what I've noticed with my dog who has itchy ears, specifically. Now, I got a pre-made from the store part of a chicken here, chicken leg. You can just make chicken and not put anything on it. This just has garlic and herbs on it. That's all it has, just a little extra garlic and herbs. So you can just make plain any chicken you want. Doesn't matter. Just about, you're going to need about a tablespoon for 2 meals, teaspoon per meal. Actually, a tablespoon per meal, sorry. Tablespoon per meal and 2 tablespoons for 2 meals. It's probably about all you're going to need if you add the beans. If you don't add the beans, then you're probably going to need 2 tablespoons per meal of chicken. So 1 per meal with beans, 2 per meal without beans. For one dog who is about 20 pounds. This is for a 20-pound dog. If you have a bigger dog, then you'll have to figure out how many calories they need to have. My dog usually has about 40 to 80 calories per meal. And then the occasional 100-calorie meal if I couldn't feed him lunch or something like that. There were a couple days where I was really anxiety-provoked and he didn't really get much of a lunch. He just got like a teaspoon or so of meat, which is horrible. So I gave him an extra 100-calorie meal for supper so that he would actually get what he needs. But he generally needs about, I'm going to say 70 per meal. So that's about what he needs. About 70 per meal, depending on the meal, depending on the day. So, I'm just going to cut this up into little bite-sized pieces. And he's not going to eat it now, but I am preparing it ahead of time, about 45 minutes ahead of time. So another general rule I keep in mind when doing this is protein should be lower than vegetable. And the only reason I do protein lower than vegetable, and I know you might be thinking that's stupid, is because that's what I do for supper. Because I only give him protein for lunch. That's my way of doing it. So, yeah. You can see how much meat I have in there. You can see, this is the meat here. This is about the meat I have for 2 meals. Now that's probably about a tablespoon of meat. But that's because I have the beans in there. The beans are also protein. So the beans are like extra protein. So, another thing you want to be very careful about is do not feed your dogs chicken bones from a chicken, or turkey bones, or any bones like that, in my opinion, because we've noticed that our dogs have diarrhea and constipation and just bad times when we give them bones. So I say stay away from bones in general, just meat bones. Something else I would advise is do not feed your dogs too much tofu. It's not good for your dogs either. So mainly, my main thing for you guys, if you're trying to get a good diet for itchy ear dogs, is stay away from fruit too often. That can be bad for their ears. Stay away from too many vegetables. Even peppers, which are really good for dogs, can be too much. So don't give more than like 2 or 3 tablespoons of veggies a day. Don't give more than like a teaspoon of fruit a day. And try to stay as far away from rice, noodles, or bread as you can. That's really bad for dogs. Bacon, bad for dogs. Grapes, chocolate, those are all things. Avocados, I've heard can be bad. Depends on the dog. So those are the things I would suggest not giving your dog. So that was my dog's diet for itchy ears. Basically, what you can do if your dog doesn't have itchy ears is you can add twice as many vegetables, or you can add a little bit of bread if you wanted to. But I wouldn't add too much bread. You can add like half a slice of bread max a day. So if you wanted to do that, you could, because your dog doesn't have itchy ears. Mine has a very specific diet though. It's low in, basically what it's low in is sugars, carbs, and vegetables. It's really low in those, and fruits. It's high in protein. That's what you want to do if they have itchy ears. I give him veggies like this that you see here, probably like half this amount per meal, probably 3 times a week. The rest of the time I just give him like that amount of vegetables. Well, those aren't vegetables, but you see what I'm saying. So you want to be very careful. Watch your dog. If he starts to look itchy, stop giving him any carbs. So stop giving him any bread, pasta, rice, vegetables, or fruit for like 24 hours and just give him protein and then see how he does on that. So yeah, but I will say some days I will give him any vegetables on certain days because I do shameful things, and every once in a while I will give him a chip or 2, or I will give him some bread, or I will give him stuff that he's not supposed to be eating because of his diet. Shame on me. And that's when I don't give him vegetables. If you want to know what you can replace the vegetables with, you could replace it with fruit, but you'd have to give him like half the amount because that is kind of sugary. You could replace it with bread, but I wouldn't. That's not good for a dog with itchy ears. And you could possibly use other vegetables like cauliflower. You could use other colored peppers. You could use parsnips, I'm sure would be fine. You could leave out the oil and add a little bit more of this stuff here. That would be pretty good. Just so you guys are aware, there is 0 sodium in these beans. So you could give him 2 tablespoons of this and no oil. You can leave out all of the herbs if you want, but then what I would do is I would supplement with a multivitamin. Thank you for watching. If you like this, I won't actually do any more Let's Talk movies if you like this video. And if you want to see more like this, I can do desserts for dogs. I can talk about tips for buying treats from a store, multivitamins, and other variations of stuff that I give my dog. Sometimes I give my dog canned stuff, a lot of the time I do, But it's really good if you can give them real meat, but it's expensive, so hey, if you can get cans from a dollar store, Dollar Tree, Five Below, whatever you have. We call them dollar stores or Dollaramas here in PEI, Canada. If you can't afford real meat, then that is an option. But just remember, when buying the cans, try to keep the sodium down. Thank you for watching, and like this video. Like this video, subscribe, and tell me, do you want to see more of this? Thanks for watching. Toodaloo! I forgot to say one thing. One thing I forgot to say. I didn't peel the carrot because my dog doesn't care, but you can. You don't have to keep the skin on. The skin's really good, but you don't have to keep it on. It's just my dog doesn't care, one way or the other. So if you're making a meal for you and your dog, or your dog does care, then you can definitely peel it. But I didn't. Just wanted to recap that. Thanks. Toodaloo! If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and share. Links to all my social media are in the description below, and links to previous videos are in the description below, or you can click the annotation on the screen. Toodaloo!